My name's Dia, and this here's my co-host Odin. And today we're talking about werewolves. Not that kind of wolf. So I did a poll on Facebook, because I'm Gen X, that's what we do, to see what everybody's favorite werewolf movies are, and a lot of people had very similar to mine. A few that I have not seen, which I know it's a travesty. I have not seen Dog Soldiers. I haven't seen The Company of Wolves, at least I don't think I have. And there's a few others that I haven't seen that were pretty popular on the polls, so yep, those won't be on this list. Starting off the list with number 10, we've got American Werewolf in London. You know that's a favorite of everybody's. So this is a horror comedy, came out in 1981, directed by John Landis, who also directed the Michael Jackson Thriller video. If you didn't know, now you do. So the plot of this movie is two Americans, of course it is, who are backpacking through England, and creepy spots in England. One of the friends becomes bitten by a werewolf, and he starts turning into a werewolf on the next full moon. So, of course, what this movie's known for is the legendary transformation of the backpacker into the werewolf. This is also the first movie that ever won an Academy Award for Best Makeup, so that's amazing. Now, some parts of this movie I find kind of boring, and some of the music in this movie I find really irritating, but you can always fast forward those parts. If you're in the mood for nighttime, English countrysides, weird bars, and practical effects, is one to check out. Number 9 on my list is a newer movie, and it came out in 2021 called Werewolves Within. So this is a mystery comedy. It takes place in a small town in Vermont. It's during a snowstorm, and one of the town folks is a werewolf. So therein lies the mystery. It's really funny, campy. It's not over the top camp, kind of slapstick, but not exactly. It's honestly, I think it's a pretty relaxing movie, pretty cozy movie with the snow in Vermont. And the director actually said they exaggerated the costumes of the characters in this movie so that people would dress up for Halloween as them. I don't recall seeing anybody dressed up like any of them, but somebody does. And all the characters are likable. It has really good pacing. You've got snow, you've got the woods, you've got a resort out in the woods, and some gore. So that keeps it interesting. And some practical effects. That's always a bonus. If you're in the mood for kind of a gory, cozy, comfy movie, then that might be one you might like. Number 8 on my list, and I was really debating on putting this movie in. I don't know. But, I mean, it kind of stands out whenever you think about werewolves. I mean, vampires and werewolves, so that is Underworld. This movie came out in 2003, and it definitely has the whole aesthetic of the early 2000s in this movie, so if you like that type of slick, matrixy type of outfits and movements, you would definitely like this one. So basically, the plot is Kate Beckinsale is a death dealer. I think this is the first time, maybe, I could be wrong, but it's the first time I ever heard of Kate Beckinsale. I don't know about any of you. She's a death dealer, and she hunts lycans, werewolves, and she gets involved with this scientist guy who looks like Scott Stapp from, what's that crappy band? Creed? Yeah. So her and Scott Stapp have sort of a thing going on, and it gets bit by a werewolf, and what does she gotta do? She's gotta do something about the situation now, doesn't she? So this movie is slick, if you like those type of high budget movies. It's definitely action packed. It is an action movie, so I think it's worth the watch if you've never seen it, because it's worth seeing, but I have seen it a couple of times, and I always enjoyed it every time I watched it. But like I said, if you like the early 2000s look, the matrixy type vibes, clothes, surroundings, high action, you'll like this one. Okay, number 7 on my list. Every time I think about this movie, I think of this song. and it is called Bad Moon. It's a 1996 Canadian horror movie. And most of these I'm talking about, you can find them on Tubi right now. But it has Muriel Hemingway in it. She is so cool. I don't know, she used to be in a lot of old horror movies, like early 2000s, 90s. The movie is actually based off of a book called Thor that's based off of a dog's point of view. And what happens is Muriel Hemingway's brother comes back from some kind of jungle expedition and he battles some beast over there. But when he comes back, people are getting mysteriously killed in her area. And somebody knows who it is. Is it Muriel Hemingway? No. Guess who it is? Anyway, if you like movies about, if you like looking at movies that have a lot of woods in them, campers, I think the reason I always think about that song, the Type O Negative song, is because the main guy, the brother that comes back, he has sounds like a New York accent. So that one's great if you haven't seen it. It's definitely worth a watch back if you haven't seen it in a long time. I watched it again the other day. It's great. Number 6 on my list is a movie from 2014. It's another Canadian comedy horror movie, and it is called Wolf Cop. And one of my friends, when we were at a show, told me about this movie when we were drinking, and just so happens that this movie is about an alcoholic cop who gets bit by a werewolf, and of course, chaos after that. It's campy, it's slapstick, has great practical effects, has great acting. I think it is anyway. If you like occult and slapstick, and you like it's kind of fast paced. I don't think there's anything slow at all about this movie either. So that one's definitely a great watch if you're in the mood for like a horror comedy werewolf vibe. Number 5 on my list is an old schooler movie called Silver Bullet from 1985. It's got Gary Busey in it and Corey Haim. So it's kind of a mystery too, kind of. So there's a series of murders going on in this small town, and these kids suspect the most unlikely person. Now I think whenever you look at them, the person that they suspect, I can see it. I would think that person's a killer too. So you could just tell there's something going on with that guy. Even if he wasn't playing that role, I don't know, maybe it's the eye patch. I don't know. Just like on Walking Dead, the governor, like with the eye patch thing, I don't know, maybe it conjures up some kind of villainous thing. What'd that guy do? So basically this movie turns into a battle, and Gary Busey handles himself so well, and he really seems like an uncle. He seems like an Uncle Gary Busey on this, so I like it. It's really nostalgia driven for me anyway, since it's so from 1985. But if you haven't seen it, you should check it out, or if you haven't watched it in a long time, you should probably watch it again. It's definitely has a different vibe when you watch it as an adult. Okay, so number 4 on my list, I forever kept thinking this was a full moon movie when I saw it years ago, but it's not. It just definitely has a full moon entertainment production vibes to it. So it is Howling 5, The Rebirth. This movie is from 1989, and it's about a group of people who are invited to a castle opening after it being closed from people getting slaughtered there. Now, it's kind of cheesy and fake looking at the beginning whenever it's first starting up, especially I guess on a high def television. But of course, it's another one that has snow, so you know what I'm going to say about it. Cozy. History, again, who's the werewolf? Among these different types of people, we've got an actress, we've got some sports celebrities, that were invited to this castle. It also has this omen type music that's playing in it. So it definitely adds to the vibe. So it's got the fireplaces and the grand settings in the castle, extreme castle vibes. And I thought I saw Christopher Lee was in it. I couldn't swear to it. I haven't watched it in a long time. I did try to watch it the other day, but I got distracted doing something else, so I didn't get to finish it or see any kind of Christopher Lee parts in it. Some of the dialogue's cheesy. Yes, it is, but it is great. It's atmospheric, good vibes, cozy, snowy castle, fireplaces, yum. Going on with some cozy dread, we got number 3, and that is The Wolfman. And this movie came out in 2010. It is considered a gothic horror werewolf movie. It is starring Anthony Hopkins and Benicio del Toro. Great actors, as of course everybody knows that. It's very moody, very atmospheric. So it happens that Benicio del Toro's character comes home after his brother gets murdered and bitten by a werewolf, so you know what's going to happen. And it has like kind of a twist in it from what I recall. So they do keep the mystery up pretty good of what's going on, so I enjoy it very much. Very beautiful to look at. It is a slow burn, so if you're not into like a lot of drama, you won't like this one, but it's worth the watch. Okay, number 2 on my list, from way back in the old days. This movie's so awesome, and came out in the year 2000, but it still has all the 90s vibes, and that is Ginger Snaps. So it's a very grungy type movie. It does have a blend of 90s grungy feel. It's got 2 morbid. I personally don't think they're that morbid, but that's just me. 2 morbid sisters who are in high school, and their relationship gets tested after one of them gets bitten by a werewolf. Just sounds like a bad scenario. So it is kind of gloomy. It's got the 90s grunge feel, the grunginess of the 90s, and you know, like I was saying, the Matrixy 2000s. It's got teenage angst. It's got high school. It's got darkness, bleakness, the woods. So that one's definitely a great one if you haven't checked that out. Number 1 on my list, from 1981, I saw this as a little kid and it scared me. It is called The Howling, starring Dee Wallace, and she did go on to do many other horror movies as well. This one's kind of a mystery too. It seems like almost all werewolf movies are kind of a mystery. So a couple goes to a resort, and the people there around that resort are not what they seem. But the transformations are great, lots of practical effects, of course, in that year, of course. So that's why people like all the old movies. God, stop using so much CGI, jeez. It seemed kind of realistic, kind of, you know. I thought one of the scariest parts was when the guy is talking to her, and she's a news anchor, Dee Wallace. She's a news anchor, and he's talking to her on the phone, and just like the creepy, gross, disgusting voice. And then what happens to her at the end. It's a travesty. But if you haven't seen The Howling, God, you gotta watch The Howling. Come on. Odin, have you ever met a werewolf? Okay, that's all I have on my list. Just want to do a big shout out to Eddie from Realms of Metal. Thank you so much. And everybody that's watching my videos and subscribing, you guys are awesome. If you're in the mood for any kind of like Halloween vibes right now, halfway to Halloween. It's not halfway anymore, but it was. So I've got this video I just did recently for that. And if you're in the mood for heavy metal type of movies, heavy metal horror movies, I've got this video over here. So you might be interested in that one. I just want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.